Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today first thing we'll be needing for this tutorial is our shuck, our tape rule, our scissors and our pattern master guide. Cutting out our pattern, but we already have our pattern being cut out on a fabric. So this is basically how you make your body measurements on your fabric. So guys, this is basically how you outline from your shoulder line to your end of your to the end of your blouse. So this is from my shoulder to the chest line, to the bust line, to the under bust line, and to the waistline. Then the blouse I'm working on is length 26. So I added like 1.5 inch allowance. So by the time we finish our stitches, we'll be having 26 inches length of blouse. So coming up to our shoulder to shoulder measurement, slant we have here, we'll divide it, whatever we get there, we'll divide it into two, then we'll mark it and we'll connect it straight down to the bust point. But before doing that, we'll have to take the mark at the center, which is 2.5. Then we'll connect it straight to the bust line from the from the bust to bust point. So from the bust line again, we take up 1 inches just for a free allowance around your bust, your upper bust area. So we'll connect it now from the center shoulder slant to the bust point. So and then we'll come down to our darts. So from my bust point to the other bust point, the dart I have there is 7 inches. So I'll be adding allowance. You know guys, we are cutting on our fabric, so everything we are going to be doing here will be adding extra allowance to it. Coming down now to my dart waistline, we are going to be taking, because the bust I'm working on is a bit big and not that big too, so we'll need to snatch it a bit so that it will get fit at the upper side of our bust. So now I'm taking in 1 inches and 2 bar, which is like 1.25 inches in both sides. So now I'll go now to my waistline. Remember we just finished with our underbust. Now I took 1 inch on my waistline, then I'll connect it to my underbust line now. Then remember we took 1 inch from our bust point up, so we'll be connecting it now from the bust point to our underbust, to the dart we just make. So if you are having a very small, if you're working on a very small breast, you will have to take it from that end there to the 1 inches you take up from the bust line. But for this, the bust I'm working with is a bit big, so I'll be connecting it from my underbust to the main bust line. So now this is 2.5 inches. Now we'll be taking the same thing at the top that we'll be cutting out. So now whatever you get from your bust line to your underbust is what you will take from that bust line up. You can add additional 1 inches or 2 inches, depend on your preference. If you don't want it to go up like too much of showing your bust, you can actually leave it on your chest line. That 2.5 inches, you take 1.5 going to your side that around your armhole, and you take another 1 inches going to your center front that line. So now you connect it to like so. So after connecting it, remember this is the 1 inches we took up the other time, and then we come up again to our dart and we take extra 1 bar, so that by the time we finish our dart taking, it will look firm at the chest line. But before that, we need to check if the two darts we just stroke out is the same. This is 3.5. So for us to get an accurate finishing, we have to make sure it's accurate with the other one. So you take extra 1 bar by the sides, so it is firm around the chest line. It won't be gaping out. So you connect it like so. I hope you can see it. Just a bar. Then you try curving it. Curve it with your pattern master, with your hand. If you think your hand is best for you, connect it. You make it a bit curvy so that it will look, it won't be pointing out by the time you finish sewing it. So guys, this is it. Now we are taking armhole, round armhole measurement. So for you to get your round armhole measurement is your bust size, dividing it by 6. Then whatever it gives you, you add either 1.5 inches or 2 inches thereabout. Now I'm connecting the dart line to my armhole curve. So this is how you do it. You slanting it a bit so that it will look firm by the side of your armhole side. Your bust side will look firm. So now I'm connecting it from the shoulder to the chest line. Remember we took our armhole measurement already, which is 8.5 inches down from the slant. Then now we are taking our round body measurement. Now the measurement I'm working with, divided it by 4, it gives me 9.5 inches. So now you take the measurement, whatever you get in your darts from your chest line, you add it. Then you add extra 1.5 inches allowance to it. Remember we already added the sewing allowance for our darts on the material we are cutting presently, so we won't be needing much of sewing allowance to this blouse, because we already added it to the material. So this is the front armhole I'm working with now. I'm going in by 1/4 inch. You can go in by any, maybe 1 inches or half an inch if you feel like. So now I'm connecting it now to the main bust measurement we took. So you can see I've outlined both the back line and the front line. So that's for the bust area. I'm shocking now. Then down to our waist to the hip, that now we take up from our blouse, we take up 2 inches and then we connect it from the waistline to that point, like so. Now we take our waist measurement. So likewise, the way we do on our bust, we'll take our waist measurement now divided by 4, whatever it gives us, we'll outline it there and add our 2 inches, 2.5 inches we removed from the waist, from the under bust waistline. We add it back to the blouse and then we add extra 1.5 inches allowance to it. Then on our waistline we take the same measurement, adding back the 2 inches we took, then we add extra 1.5 inches before connecting it. Yes, connecting it this way may look strange, but by the time you cut it out, it will actually look so good by the side after cutting everything out. So this is my hip line now. I'll be taking my upper hip. Remember, from your shoulder you take your measurement from your shoulder to your upper hip measurement. That will be your blouse size. So now I'm adding just my hip line divided by 4, then I added extra 1.5 inches allowance to it for sewing. So now I'm outlining it. So now coming to my chest line now for our neck shape, whatever shape you desire. It may be sweetheart neck, it may be slant, it may just be square. Depends on your preference. So I'm working with a slant sweetheart neck, not really sweetheart. My neckline, I'll be going down to the depth of my neckline will be 5 inches down. Then from my shoulder neckline now, I'll be working on is 4 inches so that it will be wide enough. So remember, I'm cutting a yoke from this blouse, so just watch the way I'm doing it so you follow it. So by the time I cut it out, before cutting it out guys, I will need to outline everything appropriately so that it will still look accurate after cutting it out. So now I'll cut. So now I'll take my pattern master now and shape out my desired neck line for my yoke I'm working with. So guys, I went up by half an inch before taking the neck, sweetheart neck I wish to take. I went up by half an inch from the that I cut out. So just watch me as I cut it. You go up by half an inch so that by the time you're joining it to your yoke, there will be a bit of allowance for your sewing it together with your yoke. So this is the best way so far to save you from buying of, when you don't have your paper around, you can actually cut it out without any problem. So that's it for that. So this is the yoke now we are shaped from the from our blouse. So now I'll be placing on another material for a good cut out, so that by the time we finish sewing it, it looks so perfect. Cutting that out, remember this is just what we are placing the net on. So whatever we have cut out now, same we'll be cutting for this net, this lace net we have here to achieve our blouse. So before cutting another lining. So that's all for the front. Now we are moving on to the back. For the back of our blouse now, we already outlined all lines needed. From the shoulder to the neck depth, I use 6 inches, just the same way we did for the front. The only difference from this back and the front is the zip allowance and then the under bust line. We notice is no more here. So now we just added the from the shoulder to the waistline, and then this is the zipper line now we're working on. So now from the zipper line we took in, we'll make sure our bust to bust measurement and allowance we added to the front, which is 4.5 inches. Remember our allowance is already there. Then from the shoulder we come down by 9 inches. 9 inches, guys, that is where we'll start our dart from our upper hip measurement. Now we take our dart line to under our chest line. We take 0.5 inches down from our chest line, then we take it down to the hip line. We go up by 2 inches, then we outline our dart measurement from the center back. We take in 0.5 inches, then we connect it straight down to the hip line. Then from there we'll connect it again to that 9 inches we took down from the shoulder. See, from the end is actually different from the front we just cut out. So now this is it. The armhole I'm working with, the chest line we go down by half an inch, then we divide it, the armhole line, into two, and then we connect it to that to our actual bust measurement, round measurement, which is 9.5. Then we add extra 1.5 inches to it. Then we'll go down to our waistline. We're taking 1.5 inch, 1 inches for our dart. We add it to the to our waist measurements, and we add extra 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Same thing with the hip. We take our hip measurement and add extra 1.5 inches for our sewing allowance, and then we connect it. Don't forget to always outline it properly. Remember how we cut the lace for the front is the same way we cut for the back, and that's all for the blouse before cutting the lining and sewing it. So guys, the most important thing people always ask me about is how do they go about the bust for the cutting of the wording. If you don't want to use cup and you still want it to look, shapy, just the way it will fit. So this is it. Now this is the center front I'm working on. I already cut a wording, breast wording to it. So you connect it from that end, from the chest line to the under bust line. As you can see, then you give it a good press. And so for this, I already cut out these two pieces for both the right side and the left side. So just watch me along as I do it. You put the shiny side on the back side of your blouse. Then you make sure it aligns what you're cutting out. Just watch me. Whatever you get, you take out, you trim out the excess. You make sure it ends on that under bust line, so it will not look crumping. Then guys, before this, you can decide to put a hair stay or interfacing on your fabric before putting this. So it depends on your preference, guys. So whatever I cut out from there now, I will also cut it out from this from the other piece I'm having here. So after cutting it out, I'll put it on both sides material I'm working it. Then you give it a good press again. Remember, you have to put the shiny part of it, putting it together with this before giving it a good press. So after ironing it, we iron both the center, the two sides. Then we'll measure it now from the beginning of the cutting to the side, making sure it's 5 inches and extra half inches allowance for the sewing allowance, guys, so that it will, by the time we finish our dress, it will occupy the bust side of the bust of the blouse you're working on. You remember, the side of our bust is always the biggest part of the breast. So now I'm trying to make sure everything is well pressed. So guys, watch me. You have to trim out whatever excess you have to get a neat job done. You need to trim it out. And that will be all for today's tutorial. Thank you guys for always tuning in. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, kindly do so and turn your notification bell on to get notified each time I upload a new video. Thank you. Subscribe, like and comment. Thank you so much for always. Bye guys. See you on my next video. Bye.